Recording. So instead of me writing up some ideas about what might be done, I really want to have you think first. And I will share some ideas with you in this video, but if I wrote them down, I'm afraid that you would just latch on to what I wrote and make a quick decision. So I want you to think about it. I'm not going to even ask you anything about what your decision is until next Sunday. Feel free to contact me and we can talk about it, or anybody on the staff. I've got a whole list of people you could talk to about it. But I want you to think at least for a week. Probably not more than a week, because should get started on this. It's due Sunday, December the 5th. Now, you think about what you want to do, because if you do what you want to do, then you'll do a better job, I think, than if you just do something I tell you to do. But it's reasonable to ask, okay, do you have any ideas about what you would do if you were doing it? One of the first things I would think about is I would try to develop a master sort of event day, training day for Baldwin County schools, Mobile schools, whatever. I'd say, okay, students, set up a whole series of training programs, maybe an hour long, whatever, and train teachers to use technology, to move technology into their classroom. What would you do? How would you do it? And how would you entice them into participating? Now, you could do the same thing for faculty at South, or faculty in the College of Education, or even other students. You could say, okay, these are the things you're going to be doing. Here's how you go about doing them. So think about how you might do one of those things. Plan it out, work on it, do it, and maybe we'll even be able to produce some audiences. But even if we don't produce an audience, we still want you to do that project, whatever it might be. You might do a how-to movie. How do I incorporate such and such into my classroom? Or how do I go about planning it? Or how do I do this? Or how do I do a geocaching search, or whatever? So that you might think about that as well. You might say, okay, I've started on project 15. I've got some really good ideas on that. What if I just move it up an extra level, or 2 levels, or 3 levels, or whatever? Make it a much more intense process. That's okay too. Or what if I wanted to do something in project 15, but there were too many things for me to select, so how about doing another one of those, but I'll step it up a notch. That's okay too. You can think about that. One of the things you could do is you could say, okay, I'm going to plan out my first class for my students when I get to be a teacher. How am I going to incorporate technology into that? And then do it. You could show people how to do it. You could do it yourself. You could maybe even find some kids to do it with, your kids or the kids of the people that you're doing your project with. Or you might just talk about it and demonstrate to people how you would use technology. One of the things that you might do is think about, okay, you know, the one audience I'm going to have to convince about what I'm doing are the parents. How can I, what can I do? Let me do a project that will address that issue. Parents, here's why I'm doing this, and this is why it's important for your children. You might think about, okay, what about all of the courses that I've taken, or one of the courses that I've taken at South or somewhere else? How might I take that course and change it by incorporating technology into it? That's another final project you might think about. Or you might say, what did we leave out of EDM 310? I know a lot of things we left out. We left out Google Earth. We left out all of the lit trips. We left out search processes. We left out postures. We didn't really do a number of things that we probably should have done. So why don't you think about what I want to include that was left out of EDM 310, do it, and then we'll see if we can't work it in some way or substitute for something else. Each week, the library puts on an hour presentation about some aspect of teaching and learning. I'm going to do one on Twitter in about 2-3 weeks. So you might say, okay, I'm going to be assigned to do something like that, Twitter, blogging, whatever. What would I do at that presentation for the faculty? What is my presentation would be? And then do it. Now, I'm going to have an hour. I don't want you to take that long. But I want you to think through what are the key things that you would offer to the faculty itself. You might do something on grades. We haven't talked a whole lot about grades. I've written something about grades. So you might do a project in which we address the issue of grading. And in one of the Wesh movies that I suggest you listen to in preparation for this project, he talks about grading and self-grading. So you might spin something off of that as a project. You might talk about how to use games, and I've got a video that I've suggested that you watch about games and learning. You might look at the suggestions of Wesh at the end of his movie that I've suggested you watch and spin off some of those ideas as well. There's a great report from the Kaiser Foundation that talks about 8th graders through high school students and how literate they are in technology, what technology they have access to. One of the things you could do is present a summary of that for faculty members, or a summary for teachers, or a summary for other students, or raise questions as a result of it. So I have copies of that. It's on the web. It's easy to find. I'll add that to the list of things that I suggest you look at for Project 16. Let's see if I have any other things that I was going to mention here. I probably have forgotten some of them, but at least those were a start. So why don't you think hard for this week, consult with anyone that you can latch onto, and then work toward the completion of your plans for your project, or at least the identification of what you're going to do, who you're going to work with, who's going to do what different tasks in that whole process, and I'll ask you all about that next week. So you know how to contact me. Do that if you need any help, and talk to anybody at the lab as well. Thanks.